Well, good morning and welcome to Home for Life. Today we're going to visit Armstrong Millwork, where they process rough lumber into architectural millwork and moldings. And they also make all sorts of different things that you can use around the house. I'm Jay White and this is Home for Life. We're here with Howard from Armstrong Millworks. How are you, Howard?
Glad to have you here, Jay. Real nice to be able to tell a few people about our working system here. It dates back to over 150 years ago, before Michigan was a state. We actually started on this farm, and the woodworking reverts back to about then.
And how long have you been processing lumber here?
We've been processing since 1948 as far as a sales tax. We processed it for many years before because we had a sawmill on 40 acres down the road that belonged to this farm that every winter they had a sawmill on there. So we've had lumber around here since I was a little boy.
And what type of materials do you process here?
We have over 40 kinds of wood that we sell here from all over the world, Burma, Thailand, South America, and many from the local area here.
I understand you also do custom moldings and millwork of that sort.
Yes, we don't have any finished product that we sell at all until the customer comes and orders it, Jay.
Now, can the homeowner come and buy materials from you?
Yes, we have two processes. The first process, if the homeowner wants a specific molding, then we can make that for him. If he just wants to be like a hobbyist, then he would come in and buy the wood in the rough, and we could surface the top and the bottom, and then he could go home in his workshop and have a good time with it.
I love this place. I've been out here several times myself and picking up different species, getting it both in the rough and taking it home and working on it, as well as having material done here. It's a great operation. How many acres is this place actually?
We have about 100 acres now, seeing it's been divided up a little bit, but it's been a farm. One time it was a farm dairy, and I wanted to point out that these buildings you see here once housed sheep and cows, and at one time we had a dairy farm, and we've been able to transform it into a lumber storage very efficiently. So I'd like you to look before we leave to see how it can be done.
Well, that's great. I'd like to get in there and get started and see what these processes are all about.
Come on and we'll get started.
Okay, thanks.
Jay, this is a building where we unload the semis that come in. We unload a couple a week at least from and store it in here, and it is stored here until we put it into the other warehouse where the customer can reach it in the bins. If the bin gets low, we take it from here and put it in there. And so you see it comes in all strapped from the kiln, not from the sawmill necessarily, but from the kiln after it has been cut.
Okay, so you have it, you say you order an allotment of lumber, it'll be milled, sent to the kiln, and then comes to you.
That's right, and cut to our sizes that we need to use at that particular time.
How many different species do we see in this building?
We have over 40 different kinds, all from like Burma, Thailand, South America, Africa, and of course a lot from Michigan and northern Indiana. You know that Wisconsin is the butternut capital of the world, and Pennsylvania we import a lot of cherry from there, and that's very well known for cherry.
Oh, absolutely. Now, a customer can come to you and get any of the domestics like oak, walnut, birch, etc. But you have some very interesting species from around the world. I know you carry like Burma teak, carry cocobolo in some, and Paduke, and
we have Wenji and Benji.
Oh my goodness.
A lot of strange ones. And,
yeah.
Black limba, which is a very streaked wood. And of course zebra is, you look at that and you know where that come from. Looks just like a zebra.
And you can buy it in any size just about.
Pretty much.
Up to, I think you carry up to 12 quarter.
Some kinds of wood we have up to 4 inches thick. But now like with oak, 2 inches is the safe thickness. If you go much over 2 inches, you better laminate it, because you get a lot of honeycomb in it when they dry it.
And honeycomb meaning?
Honeycomb means that they've dried it too fast or too rapidly. The water has come out of it. And usually lumber should be 5 to 7% moisture. There's a lot of people out there selling it it's 15 and 20, and the craftsman takes it home and it's a disaster for him.
Well, I know when using wet lumber, when you might put a piece together and as it dries, you'll get cracking and
Right.
all kinds of movement. This is a great place. I'd like to see the rest of the operation.
All right, we'll take you into where we have access to their customer has access to the material.
Okay, good.
Himself.
Let's go.
Okay, Jay.
Okay, Howard, this is the next stop in the process. Why don't you explain to us what goes on from here?
Jay, what we have done here, we've brought the lumber from the other warehouse and we fill these individual bins, which are labeled according to thickness and species. We have like 4/4 that'll plane to 3/4. We have 5/4 that'll plane to 1 inch. We have 6/4, which will plane to 1.25 inches. And then we have 8/4, which will plane to 1 3/4. And in some species, we have it up to 3 and 4 inches thick.
And 4/4 would relate to 4/4 of an inch as 1 inch, 5/4 is 1 1/4, and so on up.
Right.
And in here you have all the different species that you carry, and there's a lot of domestic species, and there's also some exotic species here. Why don't you tell us where those come from?
Okay, we have some from Burma and Thailand, South America, Africa, Australia, lacewood, the only place it grows. And then we have our native lumbers. Now, the thing is, on our exotic lumbers, we buy from plantations. They have recently, years back, started to grow that. And we harvest from plantations, so we don't destroy the rainforest.
That's a very important process. We're going to work with some 5/4 red oak. Why don't we select a piece and then we'll go in?
All right, we'll get one. That would be nice to see the transformation of this piece of wood from a rough piece that's got, the edges are bad, and they'll be pretty unique when we get done with it, Jay.
Okay, good.
Jay, I'd like to introduce some more of Armstrong Millworks. This is my oldest son, Tom's been here since 1973, full-time.
I do, Jay.
And his son, Mark, and my grandson.
Are you, Mark?
I've got some other things to do, so I'll be back in a little while.
Okay, Howard. The process in making moldings, one of the first things you really need to do is you have to have a good straight edge. So
That's right.
We're here at a table saw, and why don't you explain a little bit what's going to take place?
Okay. To get a straight line on a board, sometimes you have bad edges or whatever, and we have to give a good straight edge on it. The process on this one here is, this is a power feed saw. It does it all for you. All you got to do is line it up. And we have a laser beam here that you can put the beam on the board itself, and that'll tell you exactly where that saw cut will occur on the board. First time through, that's the process. The second time is just to put it against the fence, and that'll cut it to the exact width that you want it cut to.
Okay, why don't you show us how you do that?
Okay, glad to.
Okay, Tom, we're at this very large joiner. The next process we need to do is surface the face of the board. Why don't you explain what we're going to do?
Sure. What we do is run the board across the joiner here, and what that does is it takes the warp and twist out of the board to give you a good flat surface to start with.
Okay, why don't you show us how that's done?
Okay.
Now, who are these fellows?
Well, this is my brother Dennis and my nephew and Dennis's son Adam.
Hi, Jay.
Dennis, how are you? Adam?
I got some more work to finish up, so I'm going to leave them to you, and they'll help you out finishing it up.
Okay, Tom, thanks. Dennis, why don't you explain what we're going to do with this machine?
This machine is a S4S molding machine. It'll surface all four sides in one operation. The first operation is to cut the bottom side of the board as it passes through the first head, the right side by the right head, left head, and then the top profile or the top head will be cutting a molding pattern into the board.
Okay, why don't you show us how that's done?
Fine.
Dennis, when a customer comes to Armstrong, what is the process that he will come and go through?
Once he arrives, and if he knows the material that he's after, we'll show him where that material is at. He will go through the material, select the boards that he would like. If he wants us to plane it to thickness, to S2S the material, then we will run it across the jointer to flatten the bottom side, which is done on the jointer. We'll then run it through the planer to parallel the top side. After we've paralleled the material and made it smooth, we may have a customer that would like to have it sanded, and then we can sand it for them also.
Okay, why don't you show us how that's done?
Fine.
Howard, why don't you tell us a little bit about how many different moldings you can make here?
Well, Jay, we can make any kind of a molding that most anybody wants. We make over 300-400 different kinds. We make casings, we make baseboard moldings, we make crown moldings up to 7-8 inches wide, and we can add more than that on the edge to make it cover more area. We can make cove moldings. We make over 30 kinds of handrail. And then if a customer wants something made, he brings in the piece of wood and we can match that.
And also I understand that after you have a specific knife ground for that molding, you keep that knife on hand.
Yes, we keep that knife on hand. So many times people take it home, they lose it and so on, so that becomes our property because we don't charge a setup charge usually when they have a knife ground. So they benefit that way.
So that's great. If they need to keep repairing or doing a like job, they can come right back and have it done here at
Right,
Armstrong.
we have hundreds of cutters in the files over here readily available to anybody that needs it.
And they can have that done in any species they like of lumber.
Yes, and in fact, if they have a sentimental thing and they have their own wood, and they would like Uncle John's tree or Grandpa planted that tree, they can have it dried and brought to us, and we'll make it out of their wood also, which is very unusual.
Howard, I'd like to thank you for coming onto our program and helping us out and showing the people how lumber's treated and made into moldings.
Thank you. And this shows what a family unit can do. We've been at it for 47 years, and that's what's made it a success.
And I'll be back.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're going to take a little break out here at Armstrong Mill, and while we do that, we're going to go to Greg Sherman with Tool Tips and talk about level.